So I've got two things today. One is finishing up on the this is instead of looking at what autoimmune diseases go with PBC, this is what autoimmune diseases tend to go with celiac. It looks like by far the most common is lymphocytic colitis. 15 to 20% of people with celiac have this, which I guess is, I don't know what lymphocytic means, although lymph, is the lymph nodes, but colitis is, where you can't really control your bowels at certain points. Gluten ataxia, do not know what that is. That's 10 to 12%. Anemia, I have anemia, but I think that has to do with my liver disease. That's 12 to 69%. Oh, that's by far the highest then. Autoimmune hepatitis, 2%. Autoimmune okay, obviously I was wrong with what autoimmune thyroid disease is 26%. My thyroid is fine. All the tests on it, there's nothing wrong with it. Chronic fatigue is 2%. Dermatitis herpetiformis, 25%. Down syndrome, 12%. Oh, so people with Downs tend to have celiac. I didn't know that. Idiopathic dilated cardiomyopathy, 5%. That sounds awful. Juvenile idiopathic arthritis, 1.5 to 6.6. Liver disease, 10%. Microscopic colitis, 4%. Peripheral neuropathy, 10 to 12%. Primary biliary cirrhosis, or cholangitis, 3%. So not super common at all. But also Sjogren's, again, never heard it pronounced, 3%. Type 1 diabetes, 8 to 10%. I'm really scared of type 1 diabetes. My dad has it, and he has to constantly keep logs of everything he eats. And I mean, I've inherited that gene, and that's how I'm able to take such good care of myself with the PBC and the celiac, but I do not want to have to take care of myself with type 1 diabetes. And my pancreas is fine. It's great. So hopefully, knock wood, I won't have to. And then finally, unexplained fertility is 12%. And who knows? I mean, infertility. Never been an issue for me. So maybe I am infertile, who can say? But, yeah. So PBC and celiac don't seem to be very common going together. And while I don't like having celiac, in fact I hate it, I would rather have celiac than any of those other things. But I wanted to talk about something different here, something I haven't really talked about before, and this is, fair warning to any men who just don't want to hear about it. This is period talk, so you might want to log off right now, if anybody even makes it this far. I mean, who wants to watch me for 3 minutes? Anyway, I'm 46 years old. I will be 47 in October. So it's about time for perimenopause. My mom, by my age, had already gone through, or mostly went through menopause. She says that by 45, it was just done. It was easy. She said she didn't even notice. She just stopped having a period one day, and like the spotting, and so she never had like all the hot flashes and all of the, the prolonged periods. That doesn't mean that it's going to happen for me because I didn't have kids, so my system is different than her system. But I believe that I am going through perimenopause. And of course, cirrhosis can affect my hormonal cycles because the liver does everything for your body. So I am unsure if I go for months without a period these days. And previously I was like clockwork, every 3 weeks, every 28 days, period. I was just like my mom. And it always followed the same thing. It was 5 days. When I was younger, I had 2 really heavy days. And then, like, it would taper off. And now I maybe have 1 heavy day, and it's like 3 days instead of 5. My periods they're not easy, but they're easier. And I I think that's just a function of perimenopause, but it could also be the liver disease. So I think I haven't had a period since, I don't think I've had one this year. So this is the first one. And obviously I started yesterday, so this is day 2. And I'm not super happy about it. I mean, on top of everything else, now I have to do this. But it's been a part of my life since I was 12 years old, so, I just want it to end. I mean, on top of everything else, I don't want this. Like, I lay there on the couch last night with the heating pad on my, on my lower abdomen, and it just didn't help. My back hurt, all my joints hurt. I was extra tired and cranky. I don't need this. Why can't I be like my mom and just have it just sort of abruptly end? So, hopefully it'll be another 6 months before. Hopefully I'll just go into menopause. It'll be a year. Last night was pretty rough. I don't usually get that heavy on a first day, but again, who knows what's going on with my body in terms of my hormonal system, because there's 2 things working against me right now, cirrhosis and age. And I'm sure a lot of people with PBC go through this because we all seem to get diagnosed around the same time, although I think a lot of people do get diagnosed after menopause. And I really, and I think I might have brought this up a long time ago, I really think they need to study some kind of link between PBC getting discovered in middle age, and why it's almost always at this time. Are we fine as we're young because our hormones protect us, and then as soon as they start going down, is that when stuff hits? And that's why you do have people in their 20s and 30s with PBC, but I've read that the overwhelming majority are middle-aged women, especially from Northern Europe, which, okay, but, so, it's one of those things that you have to think about as a woman. This is a disease that primarily affects women, and I'm going through a life stage that's also pretty rough. It's not exactly reverse puberty, but it's kind of like that with the way my body's changing. And so on top of that, add, 2 incurable autoimmune conditions, and it's just rough. But for anybody, just in case anybody cares, the actual period itself is no worse. It's not like I'm in more pain than I've ever been. In fact, it's still less than it was. It's still not even remotely as bad as it was when I was, a young woman. Oh, it was so rough. It got so heavy. I would bleed out of Super Plus tampons in an hour, routinely. So, night times were rough. I mean, I had to just figure it out. I wish that I'd had the courage as a kid to buy Depends or something and just have those as nighttime backups. But you don't want to be like a 20-year-old buying those things because you feel weird. And I know they're not made for periods, but I just think about it now, and all my life I could have had such easier nights if I'd have just thought about it. Anyway, so one of those weird things with being a woman and having liver disease. Is it liver disease? Is it perimenopause? It's probably both. Why not? This too shall pass away, though. It's just another minor speed bump on the road. So, thank you for watching, and I will talk to you later.